Welcome to the Rosbergs, your marriage coaches. Join Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg, America's family coaches, who bring 4 decades of empowering marriages across the U.S. and internationally for this podcast to equip you and your partner with encouragement and tools for a great marriage. Here now are your hosts, Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg.
We are Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg, your marriage coaches. And Barbie, we want to say welcome back to our listeners.
Yes.
To Some Like It Hot. And this is part 2. And we launched this podcast last time, and it was so good, and we ran out of time. And we've got some great additional material. So we're going to unpack it because we're ready to turn on a dime when the Holy Spirit is leading us. And so we're going to talk to you about great sex and a godly marriage. And this is part 2 of Some Like It Hot.
You know, couples just don't talk about it. And that was part of the campaign when we wrote this book, The 5 Sex Needs of Men and Women, how to discover the secret to great sex in a godly marriage. Yeah. And part of the mystique of the marketing was putting it in a brown paper sack.
Yeah, it was good.
Because it was kind of going with the marketing of walking out with something like this out of a store and no one knew what was inside it. But in your marriage and our marriage and everyone's marriage, we need to unpack, what does great sex in a godly marriage look like?
And Barbie, couples don't talk about this. And they just don't talk about this. And we call that elephants in the bedroom. We've got a chapter on that in the book. We also have a chapter called Fun and Excitement in the book, and that's the first chapter that most couples read. But this isn't a technique book or a position book. It's a book about your position in Christ. So that's really what the 5 Sex Needs is all about. The other thing we say is if you have this book and you lay it on a coffee table and you've got friends over and you go into the kitchen to get something, the book's going to be gone when you come back. Because everyone wants to know, what are the sex needs? I mean, what do men want? What do women want? And Barbie, we have learned this, and it's reinforced all the time. I was talking to a guy 2 hours ago. Noah, he's a great guy, young guy. He's got 3 kids, sharp guy. And I said, Noah, when you first get married, you establish the way you experience and express sex. You do that early in your marriage. But what we're learning is the vast majority of couples, and then he finished the sentence. He said, we just don't talk about it. I said, we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to do with this podcast and what we try to do in our teaching when we do conferences on Some Like It Hot is to set the table for the opportunity for couples to talk. Mm-hmm. And to pull away from that, go out the next day, get an ice cream cone or a cup of coffee or sit down and have their favorite beverage and just say, okay, let's just take a little bit of inventory. How are we doing? What am I doing that encourages you and pleases you? Do you feel safe? Do you feel secure? Is our marriage bed pure? And here's some of the things that I would like to talk about. And we don't ever want to push somebody into a place that's uncomfortable, but we want people to talk about it. Here's the key: outside of the bedroom, not in the bedroom. So you don't get into the bedroom in the middle of a sexual interlude and talk about change. You do it outside of the sexual interlude. And that's when we think God blesses it and really gives encouragement and insight.
And I want to encourage you. Your words are so powerful.
Yeah.
Your tone of voice is so powerful. So when you're talking about a delicate topic, and both men and women will, it pings on, am I adequate? Am I desirable? Have I done something wrong? You ask a number of questions, and only you know what those questions are. But truly, you want to bring out the best in one another. It might sound like, sweetheart, when we were together last, I loved it when you fill in the blank. When you take the time to blank, blank, blank,
yeah.
I feel so validated. I love it when you say blank, blank, blank. So what you're doing is you're saying only the good things, the affirmation. You're building safety and trust in this sacred bond of marriage. I want to encourage you, too, that if God is the designer of this, if God created it, if God purposed it for pleasure, certainly multiplication as well, but let's face it, you hit an age where there's no more options for multiplication, but it's still a wonderful, wonderful gift until the day you die. We had a party at a home that we lived in. It was so much fun. We had the whole neighborhood in, and we were the new kids on the block.
Forgot
and
about that.
we probably have written about, over a dozen books, maybe 15. And we have lots of stuff. So anyway, we thought, wouldn't it be fun for our neighbors to know that we talk about marriage? So we put out an assortment of books, and we said, welcome to our home. We want you to all have a great time tonight, and we want to have great discussion getting to know you. But just in getting to know us and our life work, please feel free to take any one of our books. Now, it could have been Connecting to Your Wife, written by
Yeah, Barbie
or
Rosberg.
it could have been Guard Your Heart,
Written by
you, and I had a little tiny chapter in it. Or it could have been all the rest of our books where we did it and co-authored together. But hands down, 100% of our neighbors took.
The 5 sex needs of men and women.
And they laughed all the way out. By the way, we never heard from them about what they read ever again. We did not, and nor did we want to know.
Yeah.
But we all delighted in
It was awesome.
opening
I
up.
forgot about that.
Now, I don't think I'd encourage you as a listener to do that. I mean, that's one way to sell books, but no. But enjoy it for yourself in your own marriage. The bottom line is people don't know how to talk about it.
Yeah.
People don't know if you're supposed to bring it up. Gary, when we first were doing our work, we saw a good decade to a decade and a half where people were really, really teachable. Then couples got to be about 40. And there was a look and more of an absence of couples
you're right.
at our conferences. The guys would sit back like, what can you teach me?
Mm-hmm.
Often the women would be looking around the room like, is somebody else here that I know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But there was a sense of loneliness and isolation. And I think it happened with a lack of teachability. So no matter what age you are in your marriage, whatever stage you're at in your marriage, I would say that especially for those of you that are 40 and above, this is for you. Mm-hmm. There is a wealth of wisdom, a storehouse of treasury that can change not only your locked doors and behind those locked doors in your bedroom, but it can change your mindset, and it can bring back a lot more joy, a lot more of the chemistry and the ingredients that we all need as men and women in our marriages.
So if you want to know what your spouse is thinking, then you can send an email to info@afcoaches.com, info@afcoaches.com, and our team will send out a free Some Like It's Hot sex needs assessment. And Barbie and I put this together for you, and it'll give you an insight. And it's kind of like the Cliff Notes of the book. It'll identify these different sex needs. So Barbie, in part 1 of Some Like It Hot, we talked about affirmation inside and outside the bedroom. Mm-hmm. That's the number 1 sex need for women, number 5 for men. We talked about connection and connection.
Which is number 2 for women.
2.
Heart to heart.
And men, body to body, but men also desire sexual connection. So we talked about connection. Mm-hmm. And today we're going to unpack some of these other sex needs because they're really pretty doggone good.
Well, sure they are.
And one of them, it's the third one for women.
Yeah.
And it kind of stunned me.
Yeah,
but
sounds
talk
a lot
about
of men. When we're at the conference and we bring up the number 3 love need, sex need that 80% of the women told us they needed in order to have a vibrant and exciting sex life is, drumroll please, non-sexual touch. And some of the guys are going, what's that?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Is that called foreplay?
No, it's not foreplay.
Oh, it's not foreplay.
It is the destination in and of itself. Why do we need it? Well, it could be that your husband walks in at the end of the day and you've walked in at the end of the day, and maybe you've been with the kids, you're in the home, and you've worked outside of the home, or any number of things since COVID that who knows. But your husband comes in and he's got that look of love.
Yeah,
and it's
baby.
not love, it's lust in his eyes.
Yeah.
And
Well, he's guarded his eyes all day, and now you're there.
I'm listening.
And he wants to connect.
Well, is he ye?
Is he ye?
Yeah, that's an old English term
Yeah.
for
Yo,
you.
yo.
Bro.
Yeah, yo, ye.
Yo, bro.
Yeah, ye, yo.
Yo, bro. You got the wrong woman in mind. I'm looking at non-sexual touch. That's what I'm needing. Why does she need it? Because she's tired out. She's worked all day. I don't care if she's been in, out of, or both.
And he knows how to give her energy.
And when I am stunned, because that's a lot of you are stunned right now because you've heard your husband say those
Sure you
identical
have.
words, and what you used to say in private, you now say on air.
I know.
And so I'm laughing because a woman often, and I used to think, what the heck? That is so the last thing on my mind. So non-sexual touch, what's it do? It refreshes our spirit. So I had the gals do this the other night at our conference. We did a date night. And I said this, and you might, if you're with your husband listening, and I hope you are right now, then I want you to take his hand. Because non-sexual touch is just that. It's giving refreshment. It's feeling the warmth and the energy from your spouse, which is giving to your heart, your mind, your spirit. When we got married, there was that beautiful song we had sung at our wedding, that woman takes her strength from man and gives it back again.
Yeah.
And it's true. We draw that strength. We draw that sense of refreshment. And then when we feel safe and we feel refreshed and refueled, we can give it back. So what's non-sexual touch? This is where I have you holding the hand of your spouse. And I want you to squeeze your husband's hand when I say something that is really good in your marriage. So if you like to hold hands in your marriage, and that's important to you, to demonstrate refreshment and love, squeeze your husband's hands. That's important to me. If you love it when your husband puts his arm around you in church, I can see, ooh, I like that right now.
Puts the move on.
Yeah, well, don't stop. Oh, that's reassuring. That is really reassuring. If you like it when your husband touches the middle of your back and you feel the warmth of his connection and he keeps it there. Does it? Am I?
Yeah.
Am
So
I?
you can't see exactly what's going on, can you?
No. Put it back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is that a means in which you're sensing his presence? You are certain of his love.
Yeah, non-sexual touch.
It is sacrifice.
Yeah.
And he is self-regulating because he knows that the best thing for you is non-sexual touch.
It's a good one.
Gals, it might be that, and you talk to your husband, this is your list, this is your marriage, you are the expert. Do you like it when your husband rubs your feet, touches your leg, if he strokes your arm, if he pats your face? If there's anything else he does, I would not say it because this is a G-rated show. But tell your husband, sweetheart, I love it when you put your arm around me. And I love it when you touch the middle of my back because I don't want any other man touching me in the middle of my back. One woman, when we were writing the book, The 5 Love Needs of Men and Women, she was brilliant. And she said, you know, when a man helps me with my coat, that isn't my husband, and if he lingers and touches the middle of my back, she told me that really sets her off sexually. And
yes, she did.
yeah. And so I think, guys, you need to be mindful that you can be a really well-intentioned husband to your wife, but if you're being a kind and courteous gentleman to someone else's wife, you better be mindful of zones that may set her off. Yeah. One, because she's human. Two, because maybe her husband doesn't understand the power
it's really interesting.
of non-sexual touch. One last story. We were doing a radio show a number of years ago. We had live callers 5 days a week from all across America. And a woman called in, and she had just had her nails done in the beauty shop and or nail salon, I should say. And when a man was doing her nails, she said, and she was very authentic, she said that it really triggered her sexually. She goes, I'm sorry, I was shocked. She said, you go into a shop and you have them do your nails, and then they start giving you the massage, the oil, right after you've had the thing. And
she said it blew her hair back.
She did say that on air. But reality is, wasn't she brave to share that? And as a wife, I don't know how vulnerable you are with your husband. Yeah. There are times that you need to tell your husband, sweetheart, there is a man that is really reaching out to me. Honey, there is a man that shows a lot of interest in me.
Well, she went home and told her husband.
There are times that if you are being alerted sexually, even with non-sexual touch, then that shows that your system is hungry for more. And you're doing your husband and your marriage a great favor by expressing with tenderness. Now, he may not feel real adequate when you're telling him that, but it's an opportunity to tell him when he does it, he's doing it well.
That's good,
and
Barbie.
that is also a safeguard to protect our marriage and to guard our hearts as women, to guard our connections with men, and non-sexual touch. I mean, so I have found myself as a person that uses my hands a lot, and I do when we speak, or when I want to reassure someone, I might pat them on the arm or pat them on the back, but I try to make it very, very respectful and dignified. And then there are times where I think, not with this person. This person, I can tell, has a wandering eye. This person has a critical wife. And so I just know not to go there, because that can be a minefield for any marriage.
So non-sexual touch is the number 3 sex need for women. Mm-hmm. And guys, we need to zero in on it and realize if some guys go, well, that's not natural. You don't have to be natural. Be supernatural. You're a godly man. You're listening to the Rosbergs, your marriage coaches, if you're just joining us halfway through this podcast. So, Barbie, let me talk about 2 needs that guys have, because it's kind of kissing cousins, 2 sides of a coin.
How about a married husband and wife kissing?
Yeah, instead of kissing cousins, that's probably the wrong thing. And it's called sexual responsiveness on one side of the coin, and sexual initiation is the other side of the coin. And that's number 3 and number 4 as far as sex needs for men. So what's that mean? It means when a wife is sexually responsive to her husband, he feels like $1 million. So when a man initiates and desires his wife, and I alluded to it earlier, when a guy is guarding his heart all day long, Barbie, and he's guarding it against visually connecting with other women, not looking at images, he's guarding his ears, and he's not engaging in emotional conversations with women. He's guarding his hands and the way he's touching or not touching. He's guarding his feet, how close he is in proximity. So when a man is guarded and then he comes home to his wife, it's like, it's been no all day. And now it's like, yeah. And then he catches her off guard. And when she is in that mental gymnastics of thinking sex, I guess we could have sex. I wasn't thinking about sex.
Or she might be thinking, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Or she might be thinking any number of things.
These are all options for women.
But I tell you, here's what goes through the head of a man. And here's what we learned in our research is when a woman says no and is not sexually responsive, then he experiences rejection. And that's probably a little bit like the rejection she feels when he doesn't connect to her heart.
He doesn't emotionally connect. He's cutting her off, and she feels rejected. Well said. Keep going.
Yeah. And so that lack of responsiveness, ladies, is really hard for your husband, because you are the only sexual provision for his marriage bed. I mean, that's God's design. In the former podcast, just before this, Some Like It Hot 1, we talked about 1 Corinthians 7:5. Do not deprive one another except with mutual consent and for a time, so you can devote yourselves to prayer. Then come back together, lest you two are tempted by Satan because of your lack of self-control. And so when Paul says don't deprive one another, he does give qualifications, unless it's for a time and you both agree to it. So you can pray. That's the qualifications. Then come back together so you don't get tempted by Satan. He even names them. And so it's important for us to be sexually responsive. It's important for men to be sexually responsive, because at different stages of marriage, different stages of age, different stages of any number of things, illness, medication, stress, conflict, sometimes the wife is initiating more and the husband's not responding. but we need our wives to respond. When a wife responds, a guy feels like $1,000,000. He wants to go to work the next day, and he always looks a little peppier, and guys are going, man, you're smiling. What's up with you? Well, you're not going to tell him because you're not a moron, but you want to tell him because your wife responded. And it makes a man feel more like a man. And then, Barb, the flip side of that coin, or go ahead.
No, could I come back
Please.
just for a moment?
Yeah, jump in.
And that is when you talked about do not deprive one another except for prayer for a season.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about where does prayer line up in all of this? With a woman, you don't want to say no, but you want to say when. We covered that. We've covered that in different programs, but we also covered that in the last podcast, I think quite thoroughly. But I thought, where does prayer line up? Well, prayer lines up with a woman, and I'll just say me, when I think, man, I've got a lot on my mind. I need to clear my brain. I need to clear my spirit. I need to unpack these burdens, respectfully, not with you, but with God. And yes, Gary might be on my list, and our children might be on my list, and my grandchildren, and any number of people who have not been gracious. So there are times when a woman needs to clear her spirit, clear out her mind. It's like check, check, check. I would guess it's like running your car through a service and keeping it all maintained. And when she utilizes prayer in the precise way, but then, as the scripture says, come back again, because your engine's never been running better. You've got no distractions. You got no list. Your husband is number 1, number 2, number 3 on your list. And it gives you time to really focus, be enjoyable, enjoy your husband, love him, and you better step in at this point.
Well, Barbie, I think that's why that flip side of the coin is initiation. So when a wife initiates physical intimacy, what we tell wives is it gives you more power. And we don't mean power in an unhealthy way. We mean power in a healthy way. Now, what does that mean? If a guy initiates sex with his wife and she doesn't respond, or she doesn't say, yes, let's jump in and do that right now, then he can feel rejected. So if she says no, she needs to say when, so that the guy can just continue to remain surrendered to the marriage bed between he and his wife and have that need fulfilled there. Now, he's still responsible for what he does, so don't misconstrue that. But as a wife and a husband, we're there to complete one another. And so when she responds, it feels great. But here's the other deal, and Barbie, I think this is really practical, is when a wife initiates, all right, first of all, a guy will feel like $1,000,000, because here's what that will say to a guy. Somebody else is thinking about sex in our marriage other than me. It's my wife. And that's powerful to a man. Most men won't tell you that, but I'm telling you that. A man wants to know that his wife desires him. If she initiates sex with her husband, it means she desires him. It means she likes him. It means she loves him. It means that she wants to be alone with him. It means that she's a one-man woman. It means that she desires to give herself to him and to have him give himself to her. So when she initiates, here's the power part of that. She can plan it. She can think about it. She can get ready. She can be purposeful. She can check off the boxes of the things that are in the way. And then she can kind of set the opportunity of that marriage bed, whether it be a romantic marriage interlude, whether it be a shorter interlude, but it will help meet the need. Initiation is a huge issue to men. And most guys will tell you, my wife just doesn't initiate. We said in the last program, this is new research I'm doing, that 28% of women have spontaneous sexual initiation. That means that 28% of women are going along and they become aroused and want to have sex with their husband and they initiate. Over 70% of women don't have spontaneous sexual connection. They have what's called responsive sexual connection. That means that they respond when somebody's initiating their husband, but they don't dream it up and initiate. That's a big difference the way God desired us. So it's okay that we're different, But in a sexual marriage, Barb, in a godly marriage with sex in the marriage, you know what? When we're working together, it builds that sexual relationship.
It does build that relationship. So if a woman hasn't initiated before and she does all of those things in preparation that you just
it's kind of risky, isn't it?
Exquisitely described, and he comes home to a very open, initiating wife, and the evening goes well. I'm choosing my words. That man's gonna be exhausted for days because you put him out of his misery, Gary. I mean, he's just gonna be
blow
exhausted.
His hair back.
She can get her list done that week. I'm telling you, you won't be chasing her around the house. But I'm just saying. I was just.
What are you just saying, girlfriend?
I was just tracking you.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. Okay.
So responsiveness and initiation are key. Those are strong aspects of marriage. And sex. But Barbie, I'm going to go back because one of the needs for women, and I think it was number 5. Number 4 was romance.
It's number 5.
So we're not going to talk about romance, but number 5 was spiritual intimacy. And it's what we were just talking.
I think it's number 5 for men, Gary, and number 3 for women. Spiritual intimacy.
No, that's not accurate.
Well,
number 3 is non-sexual touch.
Okay.
But spiritual intimacy is the 5th sex need for women. And so when a woman is being connected to spiritually, it helps her connect more sexually as well.
Absolutely. It's the way.
Talk about that.
Well, whether you are just taking the time to pray together or if you're trying to resolve a conflict.
Yeah.
I know that there have been times we've sat in our 2 chairs and I've been mad at you and you've been mad at me, and I'll say, let's pray. And then I listen to your voice before the Lord. I listen to your heart. I listen to your tone of voice. And I listen for humility. And so, don't just wait to pray when you're mad at your husband. But I'll tell you, it's a good time to pray before you resolve your conflict, because you hear his words. Your heart has been impacted. You're more tender. You're more open. You realize, too, you're being seen by God, and God is listening to every word we say about our husbands, to our husbands. And if we're examining ourselves before we accuse and are critical of our spouse, prayer in marriage, spiritual intimacy is probably the secret in the sauce. You can have good sex and have a good marriage. But you will never have a great marriage unless you have spiritual intimacy in your marriage. And does that mean you go to a Bible study every week together? For you guys, it might be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who do you ask? You ask your wife, because she is the expert in your marriage. Does it mean you're going to church together and as a family? Ask your wife. I know those are very meaningful to me, but I know too, Gary, that we're together most of the time because of our stage in life and with our work that we do together, which is mostly full time. And when we stop and we pray together, we get unified. When we stop whatever we're doing, and it's not a long prayer, it's thank you, God, for, and you both go back and forth and you name the good things, the blessings that you're stopping. I know it was Ignatius that 3 times a day would stop and he would examine the God moves, the movements of God 3 times a day, so that he was mindful of God's working. In the same way, in marriage, when we bring forth that principle, maybe you don't pray up to 3 times a day as a couple, but maybe you need to. And is it good for your heart? Yes. Is it good for your soul? Yes. Do you feel united, like you're being able to walk through life and share your burdens? A burden divided, it's the best. And when your husband takes you before God the Father and really cares about your heart and about what hurts you or who hurt you, or how, as a couple, you might need to pause and pray and pivot. We've talked about that before, but the whole spiritual intimacy. And I want you all to get the book, The 5 Love Needs of Men and Women. Why? Because there are 5 sex needs of men and women. We have another great book, The 5 Love Needs. Sorry, and thank you.
Yep.
But the 5 sex needs of men and women.
Yep.
Why? Because for men, it rated within the top 5. For women, the top 5. I thought it was a higher rated need, and I want you to get the book and write us and tell us how high it was rated for women.
Well, in fact, on the back cover, it says, great sex isn't just a grope, a grab, and a romp in the sack. Truly great, deeply satisfying sex happens only when husbands and wives aspire to meet each other's deepest, most intimate needs. And that's what we're talking about. Now, if you want to find out what is your spouse's sexual needs, then go ahead and send us an email. Our email address is info@afcoaches.com, info@afcoaches.com, and ask our team for a copy of the Some Like It Hot 5 Sex Needs Assessment. And we'll email that to you as a gift to you to encourage you and strengthen you. You know, Barbie, the author of Hebrews, in chapter 13, verse 4, says that marriage should be honored by all and the marriage bed kept pure. And as we close, we want to pray. We want to encourage you to pray over your marriage bed. And some of you may go, pray over the marriage bed. Why would we do that? Because you want to sanctify it. You want it to be a safe place for just a husband and a wife that surrender the goodness of great sex in a godly marriage behind closed doors, behind locked doors if you have kids. It's a great place to connect, to be one, but it needs to be honored by all, but it's got to be sanctified. You know, we encourage you to anoint your bed with oil. Take it back. So don't allow it to be a place that entertains others or images of others or other things that distort God's design. Let it be the purity of the guarded heart of a husband and the guarded heart of a wife. We're so delighted that we get to coach you and encourage you. We are Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg. We are America's Family Coaches, but the name of our podcast is The Rosbergs, Your Marriage Coaches. And we're delighted that you're listening. So go ahead and rank this. Give it a 5-star if you can. Share it with other people. Sign up for it so that you get it in your feed. And spread the word, because Barbie and I are here to come alongside of you to cheer you on, speak into you, and bless you. So until the next time we see you, guard your hearts. And thanks for listening to the Rosbergs, Your Marriage Coaches.
Hey listeners, make sure to stay up to date with the Rosbergs by subscribing to their show, Your Marriage Coaches, on any major podcast platform such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you will get an alert each time a new episode is released. Whatever platform you're listening on, please rate the podcast and leave us a review.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Rosbergs, Your Marriage Coaches, with Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg. To find out more, go to americasfamilycoaches.com. Once you're there, you can check out the many resources that they have available, from their many books to their informative video series, 6 Secrets to a Lasting Love. They've got all the tools you need to help you grow deeper in your relationship with your spouse and with God. Go to americasfamilycoaches.com and click on the Resources tab. We appreciate your prayers and support for this ministry. Find out how you can come alongside us when you go to americasfamilycoaches.com. Just search the top of the index for the Donate tab. Thank you for listening in today. Be sure to join us next time for another episode of The Rosbergs, Your Marriage Coaches, with Gary and Barbie Rosberg.
How's your marriage really doing? Not just on the surface, but at its core. Whether you've been married for 2 years or 20, every couple needs a moment to pause, reflect, and grow. That's why Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg created the brand new Rosberg Marriage Wellness Checkup, a powerful tool built on decades of coaching, research, and their Gold Medallion Award marriage book, The 6 Secrets to a Lasting Love. With this assessment, you and your spouse, or even your small group, can discover where your marriage is thriving and where it needs a little extra care. You'll explore 14 essential areas, from trust and vulnerability to romance, boundaries, faith, and even how you divide responsibilities at home. Think of it as a map for your marriage, showing where you are and where to build. Because rediscovering the love of your life starts with knowing how you're really doing together. Go to rosberggroup.com/marriage-wellness and start your journey to a stronger, more connected marriage today.